Assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Lukman Habib. Welcome to my another video. Today I am going to explain the mystery of Titanic. You must have heard the name Titanic in any conversation or at any social media platform. If not, no worries. Today I am going to explain you the mystery of Titanic. Let's start. This happened on April 10, 1912. I will repeat it. It was the incident of April 10, 1912. The Titanic was the biggest and most beautiful ship in the world at that time. It was ready to travel for the first time from Southampton, England to New York, USA. People from different countries were on the ship. They were hoping to start a better life in America. The ship's captain was Edward John Smith, a 60-year-old man with really a lot of experience. Everyone was very excited. The Titanic was very big, 269 meters long and 53 meters high. It was a moving place on water. At that time, Titanic costed $7.5 million, which is around $400 million today. $400 million. Inside the ship, there were amazing things. For example, beautiful wooden walls and a grand staircase, a heated swimming pool, a gym, library, restaurants, and even barbershops. It was more luxurious than a five-star hotel. The Titanic was also believed to be very safe. It was made by a company, namely White Star Line, and the company's vice president said that Titanic was unsinkable, meaning that it could never sink. But just 2 days later, on April 12, 1912, the ship started getting warnings about icebergs. Don't worry, icebergs are normal for ships, and icebergs are huge pieces of ice floating in the ocean. And no one was really too worried. But these could be dangerous for ships sailing in the ocean, and they often sent radio messages to each other about these icebergs. The Titanic also received several warnings, and it changed its direction twice to avoid danger, but it didn't slow its speed. It didn't slow its speed because many people believed that the ship wanted to set a new world record to reach this distance in the fastest time ever. So the Titanic kept moving at a speed of 21.5 knots, which around 40 km per hour. So on April 14, 1912, the ship received 7 more ice warnings. But Captain Smith and his crew ignored them all and still didn't reduce the speed. They changed their directions 2 3 times but didn't reduce the speed as the reason I mentioned before. As the sunset came, the water became very cold, and there was no moonlight that night. Without the moon, it was really hard to see in the dark. At the top of the ship, there was a small lookout platform called the Crow's Nest, and a member named Frederick Fleet was watching for there to be cautious. At 11:39, he suddenly saw a huge iceberg right in front of the Titanic. He quickly rang the bell 3 times to warn others. Then he called the officers and shouted, "Iceberg right ahead." The first officer, William, got the message. He quickly ordered the ship to turn left and told the engine room to go in reverse, but it was really too late. Just 5 minutes later, at around 11:45, the Titanic hit the iceberg. It was massive. It was really a massive iceberg, as big as a football field, and scientists later said that the iceberg weighed around 1.5 billion tons. 1.5 billion tons. The front part of the Titanic, called the bow, was hit badly, really badly. For about 10 seconds, the ship scratched and crashed along the side of the iceberg. A huge dent and hole were made into the side of the ship. As soon as the Titanic hit the iceberg, water started rushing into the ship. In the beginning of the video, we said that the Titanic was called unsinkable because of strong safety features. There were 2 main reasons for this. The first, double bottom hull. What's a double bottom hull? Let me explain. The bottom part of the ship, called the hull, had 2 layers. So even if the lower layer got damaged, the upper layer could protect the ship. And the second one was water light compartments. The ship's hull was divided into 16 separate compartments. It was designed to stay afloat even if 4 compartments were filled with water. But when the iceberg hit, it hit into the side of the ship, not the bottom. That was the reason the double bottom hull failed. And now the condition was really worse. The impact was so strong that it broke open 6 compartments, not just 4. That meant that the Titanic was now definitely going to sink. The ship that was called unsinkable was now sinking. 20 minutes later, after the crash, around 12 am, Captain Smith gave an order to send radio messages and SOS calls to nearby ships. The senior radio operator, Jack Phillips, started giving the SOS signals again and again. Help us, we are singing. But at once, nobody answered. Then at 20 minutes later, 12:20, one ship responded. It was RMS Carpathia. The Carpathia was about 107 kilometers away. Even at the full speed, it could take 3.5 hours to reach the Titanic, and the crew knew that the Titanic wouldn't stay afloat for this long. And now they tried to flare and the rockets in the sky to catch attention of nearby ships. But no other ship responded except the RMS Carpathia. Now Captain Smith gave another very big order to start loading the lifeboats, women and children first. This was the emergency rule at the sea, but at first many passengers were worried. They thought that the ship was still safe. After all, the company had said again and again, yeah, the Titanic couldn't sink. So many people didn't take it seriously and thought that it's a small incident. From an iceberg, the ship wouldn't sink. As the night went on, the truth came clear. Now the Titanic was going to sink. Now people also realized that, yes, the Titanic would sink. Water kept filling from the lower parts of the ship. The front side, called the bow, was going deeper into the sea. Was going deeper into the sea. And the back side of the stern was rising higher into the sky. Because of that, the Titanic crashed into two. And the back part, where some people were alive and all the lifeboats were there, there were 20 lifeboats, but over 2,200 people on board. That meant more than half the people would be left behind. The crew tried to follow the rule, women and children first, but in the panic, some boats went down half empty. Some people didn't want to leave, thinking the ship was still safe. After it was in two pieces, they still thought that it was safe. Others didn't want to leave because of their families behind. As the ship tilted more and more into the water, people were crying, praying, and hugging each other. Now, exactly at 2:20 a.m. on April 15, 1912, after nearly 2 hours and 40 minutes since the crash, the Titanic broke into two and sank deep into the ocean, into the Atlantic Ocean. The water was freezing cold, almost like ice, and those who knew how to swim died because of the coldness into the water. And at around 4 am, the RMS Carpathia finally arrived. It only found the lifeboats and the people who were in the lifeboats, and around only 700 saviors from the Titanic, but over 1,500 people died in this tragedy. RMS Carpathia helped these lifeboat saviors and took them in their own ship, including Captain Smith. Jack Phillips also died in this ship. It was one of the biggest disasters in the history. While the Titanic was sinking, if I will tell you that there was another ship closer than Carpathia, that was SS California. It was only 16 kilometers away. And if it would have came, it would only have taken 4 minutes. And everyone from the Titanic could have been saved. But why didn't it came? When the Titanic crew fired rockets into the sky, hoping that someone got attention, the people on Californian thought that there are rich people in the Titanic and they maybe are having parties. And when they were calling from the radio signals, their radio operator was sleeping. And when the people told him, "Open the radio, maybe it is an emergency," he told no, they are really having parties. Because of this small misunderstanding, the Californian didn't come to help that night. If it had, maybe hundreds of lives would have been saved. Thank you friends for listening this mystery. Hope you liked it. If you really liked it, like this button and also share the videos to others and also subscribe to my channel Positive Information. Thank you. Have a nice day.